Now this is the question. This is a pub. This is a pub question. Using classical magnet or not?
I wasn't.
You wasn't, me neither.
I had a class in there, like in the portable area.
Yeah.
But nah, they was there. I was never.
That was crazy, right? Like the little separation.
Until they got their building, but look at them now. You know, they got the building. They got out. So
they got out.
Yeah, we was in the port. They had the portables like attached to the back of the building. So like I had a couple class. I had like a civics class with Mr. Hayes back there. But we would see him and run into him. And this cast that I still talk to today. They went to college with me. They was in classical when it was first like that in the pub. So like those are the cats that'd be like, oh, I went to Hartford High. Like,
yo, nah, if you did not go to Harvard High, inside of Harvard High, this may be weird. There was a separate class of students, and they were considered. It was like an inside public school magnet school. Right. So it was a magnet like program.
Right.
And it was. I'm laughing. I forgot what it was called. Classical magnet.
Still there.
Hello, everybody. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of Trade Secrets by Tripletote. My name is Antwaine Debnam, and I'm bringing you guys another exciting episode. I have a great guest with me today. His name is Eddie Brown, and he represents the organization Hartford Communities That Care. We're going to learn about his story, his path to success, and he does a real noble thing. You know, he works with Hartford City youth every day. So he's in the trenches with them. He's giving them guidance. He's connecting them with opportunities. He's connecting them with resources. You know, and in urban communities, when you do a job like that, you're the therapist, you're the community leader, you're the big brother, you know, you're the chauffeur. You know, you might have to give a couple dollars to a kid to get lunch or get home. You do all those things, and sometimes it could be a thankless job. So, you know, I'm proud to have Mr. Eddie Brown on my show so we can highlight him and get an inside look on what it takes to run a successful organization. How's it going, Eddie?
Peace, good brother, man. Thanks for the opportunity.
Man, I'm glad to have you on, bro. Me and Eddie connected because we're launching a big program which we'll get into later. But I want to tell you that this dude is one of the most sincere dudes I've ever connected with. He's on point. He's knowledgeable. He's in the know as far as the community and what's going on, as people would say, in the streets, you know. But at the same time, he knows how to balance those worlds where he's connecting with professionals and he's helping them understand the importance of giving back to the communities they make money in, they run their businesses in, they live in. He's helping them understand all that. But Eddie, let's take it back as far as we can to the beginning. What high school did you go to?
I went to the pub, Hartford Public High School. Yes, sir. Owls Nation.
yeah. I'm an owl too. I went to Hartford Pub too.
Nice, man. Okay.
You may be the first guest. If I'm wrong, somebody out there holler. No, you're not. My boy Devon, obviously, I graduated with him.
Okay.
But I was like, he's a super close friend of mine.
Yeah.
But for people I've invited on the show just after meeting that I haven't known for 25 years, you're probably the first guest that's from the pub. You know, so I'm glad to have you on for that too.
Yes, sir. Glad. Owls, man. Team Owls. Let's go. Let's do it.
Now, how was Hartford High for you? Like, what was it like when you were there, just as an experience?
The experience was actually great. It was different because I didn't expect to be at a public school. I know a lot of with my grades, it allowed me to go to a public school, but it was also a great opportunity to help me grow to where I am today, to actually have that experience. With grades, my mom was pushing to get me in magnet schools or certain private schools, but I feel like the public school factor is just the same. It's just how it's looked at versus private school. People think, oh, you're going to get a better education. No, it's the same quality, but it's, just the atmosphere, the amount of resources that it lacks, and, the difference. And we can get into that. But the experience was great. I learned a lot. I learned my niche with technology, and that's when I first started. I was really into the video and audio stuff. I'm still into audio now, but I'm more so I was more so into the video aspect of everything. When it came to like video editing and cameras and stuff like that, it was a guy, Mr. McCausland.
Mr. McCausland, I know.
Rest in peace, man. Amazing dude, amazing technology teacher. So ever since then, I just was we used to live in his classroom. It was like one of those rooms you just go to, and those are the kind of resources that we need today. A lot of the after schools, kids just go home. Especially in high school, like elementary, middle, you have after school programs, but like the high school, you don't have too many of those programs unless you're going somewhere outside of the building. But we was able to stay after school, like in between classes. We would take lunches and go to his, you know what I'm saying? So that's why I really was into the computer and the tech, the video editing, audio stuff. And then, you know, from there, it was a great experience. I tried the sports, but didn't work out. So, you know, I fit what was best for me in that realm. So yeah, the pub, man, it was great. We was actually the last class of '08, the last class to experience the official public school before they transitioned into the different academies and stuff like that they got now. So
that's what's up. Yeah, when I went to the pub, it was my college. So
McCausland was there when you was there?
Yeah. Listen, people love McCausland. He was hip. He wasn't no teacher. He was like almost like a young dude that just happened to teach.
That's it.
You know what I'm saying? And he was hip. He was
diehard Patriots fan.
Diehard Patriots fan.
Because every home game, he would never come in on that Monday, and he'll tell you.
And you know what's true? Like from my perspective back then, he was a super hip teacher and he wasn't black, but he was so on point.
He was.
And when you in Hartford, to find a teacher that's on point in general, period, is hard. But he was on point, and he never shied away from the truth that I know how you feel, but this is how it is out there.
That's how it is, yeah.
And I know you feel like, hey, some stuff, a lot of stuff you're telling him, he's acknowledging that's truth, but he's like, but still, there's still a better world out there. You just got to experience it. I know that this is all you've lived, but trust me, you're going to be doing this when you get out. And he worked hard for the kids. Like he's a teacher you wanted to almost hang around.
Seriously, we did. I mean, we did. Yeah, so between him and Mr. Abate, man, I know
Mr. Abate
was there too. One of the best dudes to ever describe break down history the way he did. Like,
now this is the question. This is a pub. This is a pub question. Using classical magnet or not?
I wasn't.
You wasn't, me neither.
I had a class in there, like in the portable area.
Yeah.
But nah, they was there. I was never.
That was crazy, right? Crazy. Like the little separation.
They got their building, but look at them now. You know, they got the building. They got out. So.
They got out.
Yeah, we was in the port. They had the portables like attached to the back of the building. So like I had a couple class. I had a civics class with Mr. Hayes back there. But we would see him and run into him. And this cast that I still talk to today. They went to college with me. They was in classical when it was first like that in the pub. So like those are the cats that'd be like, oh, I went to Hartford High. Like,
if you did not go to Hartford High, inside of Hartford High, this may be weird. There was a separate class of students, and they were considered. It was like an inside public school magnet school. So it was a magnet like program.
Right.
And it was I'm laughing, I forgot what it was called. Classical magnet.
It was still there when wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, so it was called classical magnet. I think it started from Cork.
Okay, so
I think classical magnet started in Cork, and then you would go up the classical magnet reigns into high school. I believe that's how it worked.
And then they moved to the pub.
Then they moved to the pub. So that was the thing. It was like that was the path. It was like you join it in Cork, and then when you go to Hartford High, you stay in it, right? And it was like it was ridiculous on some level because we all were in class. Well, we weren't always in class together. We were not always in class together, but we were in the same high school. We played the same sports, hung out, ate the same food in the cafeteria. But it was always weird because you get this almost like, and kids would turn anything into a rivalry. So it was like classical versus non-classical students on certain types of topics. It was weird, but it was cool looking back. It was the best.
But I'm glad the original classical people claimed the school, because sometimes you would go to classical because you felt bad. They was in the portables. You'll just be like, oh, I go to the pub. I go to Hartford High.
Oh, yeah. That's a demotion because before they were in their own cubicles, they were inside the school and they were considered the cream of the crop.
Right.
If you were in classical. So yeah, shout out to Classical Magnet. Shout out to Hartford High and the pub. So after high school, what school did you go to and how did you go about making that decision? Like, because when we were in school, right? It was almost like amongst your friends, you were trying to figure out what everybody's next move was, and you were trying to coordinate your next move in that same fashion, or even like directly saying, yo, me and you, we're going to go here. Like some of your friends would all, like me and my boys, we went to UConn, some of us, and then I transferred. So one of my friends, we went to Clark Atlanta University. We went to Atlanta together. Yeah. So I had the experience, luckily, of going to a really mainstream college in UConn, and then transferring into a HBCU. What school did you go to? How did you decide on it?
I went to Eastern, but it wasn't really necessarily my decision. So here's what happened in high school, where when we talk about opportunity. My grades was like okay. and probably my last two, junior and senior year in high school, that's when I kind of straightened up. But during high school, I was a part of a program called Upward Bound. And that was and I know you go to UConn, so you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
And shout out to my mentor to this day, Cliff Merritt. That's when I first met him. He came to different high schools and recruited students from high school to be a part of a summer program, which would prepare you for the next year in your high school career.
Nice.
So for the summer, you would do like 6 weeks in the summer, stay on UConn's campus, experience the college life, but take courses that would be for the next year to prepare you for that academic year. And it would help you, for college selections. So being a part of Upward Bound since 2005, because in 2004 I did a music program called CCY at Wesleyan Center for Creative Youth. So that next year, that's when I got into Upward Bound, and I did that for the 3 years.
Nice.
So between that and applying to colleges, grades wasn't all that, but it got better. So they look at the whole thing. Of course, I wanted to apply out of state. I was applying to some HBCUs, but didn't work out. So Eastern, I applied there, got accepted into their summer program, the StepCap program. So that was pretty much a program to prepare you, and you had to pass that program in order to get admitted to be officially a student for the fall. So being in that program, it was a lot of statistical judgment around it, saying most of the kids don't graduate on time and things like that. But of course, I changed that narrative and broke that. A lot of people in my class, we graduated on time, and so far, I think since then, or maybe a little bit before or after that, that statistic has been broken. A lot of kids that do get into the StepCap program and become Eastern students, they graduate still in 4 years, versus what the statistics say is when you come, well, you're a StepCap student, so you're labeled as you won't finish on time. And I changed my major twice, but I was still able to get done in 4 years. So long story short, Eastern was my choice. And from there, that's when I was sort of in high school. You could say I was doing like youth, because I worked for a summer program at Jamuki, where I went to elementary school at. So I was always working with like kids, like summer program, but I didn't take it as serious as fast forwarding, thinking that I would be doing youth development now.
Gotcha.
So then it was just like being a camp counselor for younger elementary school students as a high schooler, just having that summer job working around kids. But then in college, it got interesting because there was other opportunities provided, and I was able to. We had Wyndham High across the street, so I was able to be a part of a mentoring program for those high school students as a college student. So bringing them on campus, bringing them around, allowing them to experience college life, and just being that older role model. And that's when the mentoring and the youth development side started to grow on me. And then not even talking about the media side, when I decided to change my major to communication, and then start a radio show on campus, and then really get into the communications realm of now being on that media aspect of things.
Yeah, that's awesome. So when you were in school at Eastern, it's amazing. The reason I'm a little bit taken aback is because they let you know about a stat that says that you're not likely to graduate in 4 years. But they still let you get into the school and take your money. It's almost like, you see what I'm saying? Yeah. That's kind of weird, right? It's like that is such a disregard to say, look, you're good enough for us to take your money, but let me just give you this slight to let you know that you're not likely to graduate, but we still gonna take your money. And it's like, if you're taking my money, then if I'm not up to par, if you feel like I'm not, then give me what I need to get up to par, and just do that. You don't need to slight me to be like, yo, you're not likely to, and what I'm saying is that they're so comfortable. They're so comfortable that they can just, could you imagine that? Exactly. Like you went to a restaurant, and you're paying the restaurant because you're going to eat there, you're going to pay. And the dude's like, yo, you want to order the blah, blah, blah? Okay, you can order the omelet, but you're not going to finish it. I know you're not going to finish it. Exactly. Like your waiter telling you that before, while you're paying him, he's getting smart with you.
He's getting smart, exactly. Yeah. And I don't blame that on, I blame that on more of the state perspective of the state schools. I don't really blame that on the people that was in charge of the program. Because the people that was ahead of the program, the directors, they were very vital in my college career overall. Big shout out to, she's retired now, Dr. Heber and Dr. Hornong. They've always believed in every student that came through. They were very helpful, coaching, checking up on us, making sure that we were, from the program all the way through our 4 years, being on campus and stuff. So they would check on, it's not just like, oh, we focus on program kids, and then when they get in school, they're on their own with their professors. But throughout this academic year, once you are officially in the school as a student, they're checking up on you because you're still a StepCap student. Like you were a StepCap alumni, you're a StepCap student. So they would check up on you. You can go to the academic center for help. Anything you needed, they were a primary resource. So I don't, not saying blame, but I don't blame it on that portion of it. Yeah. But it's more of the state perspective when they're collecting data. But again, like I said, that narrative changed along the lines. I believe after my class has been a lot where I've seen kids graduate, and it's all about you.
That's my
it's all about your push. Yes, because you know, you may have some bumps in high school, you may have some bumps on your road, or maybe a little bit of bumps in the beginning of a college career, but it's all about how you apply and find the right balance to overcome the impossible, find the right balance to make sure that you're on point with your academics and taking things seriously.
And it's amazing because when you get out here in the real world, which anybody listening that's, you know, above college age knows, it's all about that action.
That's it.
That's all it's about. In college, they try to, they you know, they give you these milestones or they give you these checkpoints. And I understand that for them to receive benefits and for them to validate themselves as a school, I 100% get you need to do metrics. Did they learn this? Where did you take them from when they came in? But in college, there's really two cultures, right? In college, there's the academic culture, and then there's the actual culture of the school, meaning the student body, the atmosphere on campus, and some people. And not everybody's going for one or the other. And some people are going for both. Right. Like when I went to HBCU, the main thing that I heard obviously was like, yo, I came from this town, and the town I came from, even though I'm black, wasn't too diverse. So I figured I'd come to this college to experience the quote unquote black experience. Understandable. And then I'm like, ugh, but is the black experience worth, you know, that many thousands per year? You know what I mean? Like,
them dollars ain't no joke.
Yeah, them dollars ain't no. And a lot of times the HBCUs, their challenge is that they're a growing. They're a lot of times, either just geographically at least, they can't just easily grow. So a lot of people get rejected from being in the HBCU just because the population of students they can serve during one given year is small.
Exactly.
You know, when I went to Clark, you had the combination of Morris Brown. So we were at Morris Brown the last year before they went out of commission as a school. Clark Atlanta University, where I was at, Spelman College, and Morehouse, but they all share a campus. So it's called the Atlanta University Center. So they all share resources. So you could be at Morehouse and take a class at Spelman even.
Right.
You may not go be in a girls' dorm, but you can take a class at Spelman, or you can go to Spelman, take a class at Morris Brown, and they all recognize each other's credits. So there was still interest in the culture that if you went to Morris Brown, you were considered hood, and if you went to Spelman or Morehouse, it was like creme de la creme. It's like, dude, I take class with you at Morris Brown. How am I less than you because you go to a... So these cultures on campuses, and I can go into like fraternity versus non-fraternity, freshmen versus upperclassmen, like all these little things that we carve out academically or culturally on college campuses and in schools is very interesting because they don't mean anything in the real world.
Nothing.
It's about that action.
That's it. That's it. It's all about action. How you getting in, how you getting out, and what you did through that journey to teach you those lessons. There's going to be lessons learned. Oh yeah. And lessons is going to be learned through the failures.
Oh yeah. So only.
That's it.
Only, especially like, you know, we're operating under, we're coming back from COVID, so even we got to do like a socially distancing podcast. But especially at a time like this when a lot of people have been moved off chairs and seats that they occupy, not to their own fault. Like the restaurant got shut down because the restaurants had to close down, or, you know, and so in this side of this horrible experience during this time in our country, just referring to the virus, there's opportunity. It's just the truth.
People don't realize it, man.
You know what I mean? Like people are working from home. People are going to continue working from home because the company realized the productivity stayed the same.
Exactly.
And for individuals, especially like coming from places like we come from, who thought it was a wrap for them, it's not, because they're going to be able to take advantage of an opportunity to jump in. And I think that's the thing that school doesn't teach us, that you may have made a mistake or you may have failed a class or stayed back, failed a year. But in life, you can jump in anytime you want.
Anytime. You
can lose in 2000, jump back in 2001 and win, or you can lose in 2000, or you can have a hit right now during COVID and come back in 2021 and still be super successful. But school makes you think like you only get one shot, you know, and if you fail or you didn't take that opportunity, where else you going to get an opportunity like that? And you're like right next door, because opportunities are everywhere.
Everywhere, man.
So when you came out of college, what was the first job or position you took?
corporate life, because it was kind of like opportunity. You get back home in mom's house. It's like, all right, gotta make some money, help out. You know what I'm saying? You know, you got this 4-year degree. What you gonna do with it? You know, reality sits in.
Yeah.
Me, I was always a dreamer though. You know, I was always, you know, I had my plans, but I knew I wasn't gonna jump to it right away. I had to really face reality and to get some money to invest into those dreams and or the exact thing that I'm gonna do. I realized during college, you ain't gonna jump out and do what you want to do right away. I'm not saying you're gonna jump out and flip burgers, but you may jump out to a good job, but it might not be what you want to do right away.
Understood.
And that's what happened to me on the path. So yes, through, you know, doing media and then youth development, jumped out, went into corporate world, got a job at Waste Management, life 8 to 4 schedule. No, actually I started off with the entry level. That was like the 11 to 8. You got to do those for a little while, and then finally they was able to change the schedule around. I moved up to, and I advanced in the company, meeting the goals, high inbound calls and stuff like that. Moved me up to project coordinator.
Nice.
Was there for like 2.5 or 3 years. During that time, doing stuff on the side, business related, between DJ services and media stuff, production stuff, and like literally on my personal email and work email, like doing, and I'm just like, after a while, one day the light just came on. I was like, yo, I'm really out here like really doing this, and I'm really passionate about the personal stuff versus like here I'm just like, why am I waking up every day frustrated because I gotta go to work? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Why am I waking up every day annoyed that I have to do this and then going home? Something's not right. Something's got to give. So long story short, fast forwarded, and I ended up just putting in my letter of resignation and leaving Waste Management. Had a couple months, you know, I had a car, had certain things, you know, lined up. A month ahead, a rent and all that stuff. But then I was just like, what's gonna be next? And so I took that jump. I took that leap of faith and just said, you know what, I can't do it anymore. You know what I'm saying? So I had to, you know, take the leap. So in between time, it was about 2.5, not 2.5. It was probably about 1.5 years or so. I was unemployed and just really making money through side businesses, multimedia services and DJ services and things like that, doing some production and stuff on the side for people, making money under the table. It was helping me. Most of the time it was getting, like, doing private events and stuff, it was getting the bills paid.
That's right.
Just for the meanwhile, but sometimes it was a stretch where it was like, you got to give me some more time, you know? So it was still a struggle. You know, I don't wish that on anybody, but at the same time, it's a part of the journey where you learn the most, right?
That's right.
So fast forward, I heard from a friend, said, hey, yo, it's a spot, it's a couple positions in Norwich. That's the number. Like, I'm in Hartford, I'm in Norwich. Norwich Public School. So then I'm thinking about, I'm like, so long story short, I applied, didn't realize they would have called me back, seeing my resume, whatever. So it was a position for music and media instructor. So it was like a temporary, they was under like a little grant. Temporary, I wouldn't say a temporary position, but they were under a grant and they had this incorporated in their after school program. What did I do? Take that 30 to 45 minute drive every day. After a while, I got used to it, because before that, me and my boy, we was he does photography, so we were going to doing like events a lot of times at the casino. So I kind of got immune to the drive. So in a way, it was like Norwich is not that bad, but they ain't doing that every day. So whatever. Started doing that a little bit. So I did a whole program with the kids. They were basically learning songwriting, production, and recording. So we did a basic tutorial through GarageBand. They provided the equipment, laptops, and everything. So they weren't able to afford the software like Logic and Pro Tools. So I said, you know what, we'll just do it through GarageBand. So some of the students were, I want to do the recording part, Mr. I don't want to rap. And so some of the students were talented. They did songwriting, some, you know, singers. These are middle school students, 6th through 8th graders. So this is all the way in Norwich. So I was doing that, teaching them songwriting, teaching them the basics of recording, teaching them the basics of production and things like that. Came up, they did a whole demo. I still got the demo on my computer. So we did that. We recorded them. I brought my own equipment, like my little mic, and they asked me if I needed anything. I still have some of their stuff today, you know, with the grant they had, you know, budget laid out. What do you need to get equipment wise, blah, blah, put it in. So through that, I was doing that for about 3 or 4 months. And then it came around to the next year, and they said something about with the grant, I guess it was up, they had to let me go. So back to the unemployment stage, you know what I'm saying? So then in between time, I was applying, and I said, I'm not going back to corporate. I made up my mind. I said, I'm going to continue to, drive my passion in doing this, what I love. And I said, Joe, I need to work with kids. I need to relate to kids that look like me. I need to relate to kids that I can make sure that they're not going down the same path that I went down. So then I started getting, so I was like, I need to do youth development. I was like, and that was always my goal. I said I wanted to have my own media production company, as well as always do mentoring or something on the side. So I said, why not start on that, since I'm already somewhat in the media field? Let me start that. So long story short, saw opening at Hartford Communities That Care, and applied, got in. Long story short, got in, and from there, moved up. We did the after school program for like 3 years. Then in between time, the Leadership Academy ended up resurrecting. So in the beginning, I was kind of sitting in on the NAACP Youth Council meetings, where we got some of our youth from. They were members of that organization, and from there we took those 3 to 4 members, and we ended up just meeting on Saturdays, and we said, this is the HCTC Youth Leadership Academy. So from those 4 members, that recruited to now 20 kids.
Wow.
Within the last 3 years, we recruited those. So and then I was program director of the agency, so all the programs, after school program and Youth Leadership Academy, as well as we had a clinical enrichment program. So we took foster kids 13 to 18.
That's right.
We had them, it was like temporary care and things like that. We were contracted under that. So it was a lot. That's like my laboratory, where the youth development increased, a lot of training, a lot of other things that actually built my professionalism in that organization, and expanded me to go to so many places, meet so many new people, and network, and really build kids. We had a program with Dwayne on Saturdays. He came to the academy. He did the script writing, animation. Joe Young came through, did the animation series, and it's all tied around prevention and reducing gun violence, because that was really our theme, which still is our theme. We've been to U.S. Library of Congress with these kids. We've been to D.C., Maryland, Philly, Boston. So many different summits, representing Hartford, LOB, state legislative, building, city council, testifying on bills and things like that. So these kids have been working very hard, and I'm privileged to work with them now. So last year, I've accepted a position with Hartford Schools, August 2019, around student engagement specialist. And interestingly, the issues that we've been working on with the Youth Leadership Academy are tying in. So one of the issues was chronic absenteeism. And little do you know, the Hartford School Districts launched the position of the student engagement specialist to focus on eradicating chronic absenteeism and engaging this climate and culture in this different schools in Hartford schools. So I said, interestingly, the last 2 years we've been working on this has been a problem, the root causes of the problem, and now they interestingly saw this. I don't know if they seen our kids, but like I said, it just happened to be that they launched this program, and I was able to take that position and still be able to balance and still be, of course, still with my family at HCTC. So now I'm just solely the director of the Youth Leadership Academy, but full-time at Hartford Schools. I'm at an elementary school where I was doing the after-school program when I was with HCTC. So it all came in full circle. Those relationships building and all still being affiliated to be full circle and still be with the family that really helped me enhance my youth development, professionalism, and skills.
I think what you're demonstrating is that when you provide value, people, organizations, universe will make space for you.
Absolutely. You said it right on.
Yeah, they'll make space for you. And so it's almost like somebody went to your website of the Youth Leadership Academy,
literally
took the mission statement and just wrote that as the position they wanted, as a way to say, Eddie, why don't you just come, work for us? And so that's awesome. And the way it comes back full circle to working back at the school that you started out.
It was partnered in, and now I'm in the school. So it's like
And again, people like you. And Dwayne with Paradigm Academy, Lovejoy also, with the Blue Hills, Civic, is you guys do the work, and you are in the trenches with the kids in ways that you can't even explain.
Listen.
So we won't ask you to explain it, but for the audience, could you please, if possible, from your experience, what type of things are the youth in need of, generally speaking, in the city as you, no matter if they're from Norwich, which could seem like that's not Hartford.
But I was working with the same population that I'm working with now. Yep.
Whether it's
You'd be surprised
Norwich,
out there. Yeah.
Whether it's Norwich, or whether it is Hartford, like what are the commonalities of what the needs that the kids have in our cities?
The kids have, what it is the kids don't have that outlet to express themselves. The kids don't have that outlet of someone that understands, or someone that looks like them, that understands their background, their needs. When you look at it deep, of course, a lot of people know the trauma is a big key factor. Whether they're coming from a single parent household, whether they're coming from a foster home, whatever the case may be, you have to look at that root cause first, and understand the background of the demographics you're working with.
Yeah.
If you're not understanding that, then you're going to go in blinded, and you're just going to take out your lesson plan. You're just going to discipline the kid in a certain way that you don't, you know what I'm saying? You're just doing your job, right? Versus actually working to understand the passion of behind the real work. So when you look at that, the common thing is that if once they have these platforms and these outlets to actually express themselves, this is where they'll find themselves and really better. Probably won't even really know that they're coping through, their issues, but
that's right.
it will better express, and it will help you learn. Sometimes you have to be in the disguised learning approach and do certain things that they don't know they're doing just to get something out of them. You know what I'm saying? So I think the most common thing is really having somebody that's relatable and somebody that understands them, and that can really just be there for them, so they can just come out of their comfort zones.
That's the best. And I think like what you do that's super impactful, along with everything you just listed, is you give them your time.
That's it.
Your time.
That's important too. Yeah. Time is it.
And I don't know if our system is our basically, our child, just child care, child welfare, not welfare, but our child well-being system is set up for that. Like, a lot of times we think of and we speak of even success in only financial terms. Right. Like we speak of success in only financial terms, and especially, I'm doing a business podcast. Like this is what this is, a success business podcast, right? So
that's it.
A lot of our mind frame is just numbers, but I think just from regular relationship building with an adult, or especially with a child, it's about like time, authenticity, effort. Even if you're not hip, just putting in the time, you can still be yourself, and the kids understand you if you're authentic. I think a lot of times we get a lot of images and ideas sent our way that are coming like, we know what you need, and we're going to package it with this little gimmick. Right. And we're going to package it with this gimmick, and because you like X or Y or Z, or because you guys are into hip hop, we're going to make it rhyme. But it's like, doesn't need to. Can it just be authentic? Or can it just be...
And the thing of it is, you can't try too hard.
That's right.
You have to understand, meet them where they are, and understand that all they're really looking for is somebody that cares.
That's it.
That's really what it is at the end of the day. They just want to know it's somebody that cares, and you have to get to know them so you can kind of meet them where they are. Not saying that, they're taking lead, but at the same time, it's kind of like, it's a collaborative learning aspect to where, you're giving them something and they're giving you something back. And like I said, with the kids, it's like, I tell them, I'm just the instructor. You guys are in the driver's seat. You know what I'm saying? With the program now, it's like, I'm the instructor. I'll give you the guidance. I'll give you this and that. But you guys sit in the driver's seat. You're driving the car, right? And when you go for a test, you're studying. You have, driver's ed, driving school. You go, the instructor's going to tell you the rights and wrongs. I'm going to tell you what ways to go, how about advocating. I'm going to tell you these politics. These people are going to be funny about this, but we got to know how to face our enemies. We got to know how to face everybody and stand out as leaders no matter what. We go after no matter what adversities come our way. But when it comes down to speaking and raising you voices or white voices, when it comes down to speaking and raising their voice, that's when it comes to you. You're going to be in a driver's seat then. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to train you and teach you as much as I can to be able to face these things, because I didn't have nobody to do that when I was your age. That's right. But I as I've learned, I'm saying, I'm going to teach you. I'm not going to teach you everything I know, because you can't do that, but I'm going to teach you a majority of what you need to know right now, and that's going to get you enough to be career ready, to be ready for it, to transition into being a young adult and facing all of this craziness that's going on in the world.
Yeah, and you mentioned something very important, like, just letting kids know that they're heard. Yeah. A lot of times somebody anybody really, whether they live in the community or not, right? Even living in the community, like somebody can be watching, let's just say the news, which is don't even get me started, but it's a very curated platform, local news, national news of Jay. What's going to get the people most likely to pay attention and most likely to have an emotional response? Well, if we say that the majority of people, 96 or 85% of kids in Hartford graduated high school and went on to college. That's not exciting. That's boring. But let's point out that this one kid had this one incident, and let's make that the news. Matter of fact, let's make it the headline. And, it's not good, like if you say, why would a kid do that, or why do these things happen in our neighborhoods? If you know the answer to that question, why, how much time you got? Like, let's talk about it. But on some level, the why doesn't matter, because if you come with a spirit of help, it doesn't matter why a person came to this situation. You can help them. Like, you can just help. You can just start from helping. And what I like, which is the perfect segue you gave also, is like, the partnership opportunity that we're working on together, with our other partners, we're Worldwide Voices, where we want to give Hartford youth a voice to express whatever it is they feel, whatever dreams they have. We want to document the dreams they have. We want to capture the process that they're going through to figure things out, stuff that makes sense, and then we want to give recognition to these youth about the things they're actually accomplishing, because those stories are way more plentiful than the stories we're seeing on the news, but they aren't getting the publicity and coverage, so we're going to get them the coverage.
Absolutely.
What's your outlook for the Worldwide Voices program? Like, what do you want the kids to get out of it, and what do you want to help the kids with inside that program?
Interestingly, I'll just back up a little bit real quick and then get into that. Interestingly, our brand, the Youth Leadership Academy, is Raising Youth Voices. So we developed that name when we did our first summit back in 2018 at Capital Community College. We were sitting and planning. We had the youth in our planning meeting. Literally, we were in conference room, Mr. Woods' conference table in his office, and we had maybe 5 youth come while the others were still doing anything in another room. We had our top 5 lead youth come in, and we were just sitting there talking about the rundown. Here's our first summit. So we had our research assistant talking, and he was just saying something. But before that, Mr. Woods was like, "Make sure you guys come up with a theme name for the summit." So as the guy was talking, and we was like, we'll think of a name. We thought we was going to think of a name on another day, maybe have a brainstorming session. So during that conversation, Ken Ashworth, our research assistant, just started talking and saying some things. And he was like, well, the important thing is da-da-da-da, this and that. And then he said, and then you have to raise youth voices. And we was just like, me and one of the other youth looked at each other. He was like, I think that's... And I was like, that's crazy, because I felt it. And I was going to tell them, but I didn't think there was really, like, everybody was listening or anything like that. But when me and him looked at each other, he said... That's the name right there. So from there, we said Raising Youth Voices. So from there, we carried it out as a brand. Fast forwarded to the next summer, we started to do a podcast. So my whole idea was like, you guys are saying all of this. You guys have so much topics. I was like, and me having my background and doing my podcast, Live to Inspire, personally, Mr. Woods was saying that outside of work and saying, how can we do that to turn that and have the youth around the table? I like what you're doing on the media aspect, da-da-da-da. So then that's ended up becoming that name. So as we branded it off, we're saying Raising Your Voices, and we kind of put it as a round table of youth and young adults, having a platform to express their critical analysis on community activism, social justice issues, blah, 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 that. And also when they're in the community, going to city council, going to legislation, and presenting recommendations and public policy research, they're raising their voice. Yeah. So as we took that name and we just ran with it, so that's kind of like the brand name, but of course under the agency of Hartford Communities That Care, Greater Hartford Youth Leadership Academy, and I'm kind of working with them to kind of not just say Raising Youth Voices, but to kind of make sure that we're branding the company the appropriate way. But that's really the brand name. And interestingly, with Worldwide Voices, it's around a similar platform, as I'm pulling some of my youth to be a part of it and other youth around with our partners that we're working with. Interestingly, to get it on a big expanded level, let's not look locally, let's not think locally. Yes, we got the YouTube channel, yes, we got this, but let's think of Raising Youth Voices. You know what I'm saying? Whether we Raising Voices CT and we have a group in another place, and we developed our youth and college ambassador. Her name's Deidre, and she's at Capital now. So with that was my goal, to like have the vision to say, yo, like as she's the youth and college ambassador, she's our first. Imagine all those other kids going to college in state and out of state. Let's get this movement on campuses, and let's get, you know what I'm saying, whatever we start. And that's how I want to have a youth and college division, like all these others. So maybe Raising Your Voices CT, we got a kid down in Clark, Atlanta, Raising Your Voices LA. You know, so if that can expand, let it expand, versus with Worldwide Voices and having this incorporation. And that's why I say it's so timely with partnerships and things that I was planning to do, and having effective people on your team, because you can't do it by yourself.
That's right.
Having effective people on your team. And then when this was proposed, and I said, dag, by the end of the year, I was already starting to do something similar to this new movement that we're getting ready to start. So I said it's all about working together. And you know, other people can be on the run. Well, dang, I had that same idea too, but I want to do my own thing.
Yeah.
But in the sense of working together, we have the same affiliates, the same partners. We have people that are behind us, that look like us, that are expertise in this thing. And it's so amazing to know that, you know, everything is with timing and everything happens for a reason. And, you know, and it sat with me, and I was just like, wow. And that's why I wanted to share with you guys in that call before last about what I was talking about. And it was just so interesting how everything is like lining up to this can be something taken off. So
and what Eddie's referring to is that we had plans to start this initiative. It was just an initiative at first. We hadn't entitled it yet, and then with COVID hit, a lot of our summer youth got displaced because a lot of their summer youth employment assignment locations, you had to be in person. So our thing was planned to start maybe in the fall, but because of the students being dislocated from those in-person opportunities, and ours was a virtual platform, we rushed really, to make sure we can definitely kick it off for summer youth employment to be able to participate. And so we had like a week to come up with a name. And so the thing about coming up with a name for me is like, okay, I have a name, load it up in your brain. Okay, is the .com available? Is the .org available? Is the Facebook, the Instagram, the TikTok, the Medium, all these platforms? I'm trying to get the name to match so that when you build a brand, even if you haven't said that you're this name or this username on this platform, people will try it. And so when they try it, you just want it most likely your name to come up. So you want it to be uniform across all platforms. So if I can't get a name uniform across all platforms, I'll change it until I get a name that's uniform across all platforms. And Worldwide Voices, also tagged as WW Voices. So the .com would be like www.wwvoices.com or www.wwvoices.org, and then on every platform, WW Voices. We had to have it all lined up. And so that, out of all the names I was thinking of over the weekend, was the only one that had it available, WW Voices, on every platform. So then I came to the meeting just like really hoping, like, man, I hope they like this name because it's one of the only names available on every platform, and I don't want to have to go do that again to make sure it's available. And then when you told me that story relating to the name, it was an indication that we definitely picked the perfect name, because that's where you were headed anyway, using the same idea, lift youth voices to worldwide voices, which is the same basic concept. So that was that was the most productive half-hour meeting I've ever had in my professional career. We got on, we got things done, we made decisions, we got off, and we went and executed. So yeah, that's the Worldwide Voices story of how we solidified the name and how it relates to, what Eddie was going to bring forth anyway. Going forward, even outside of the Worldwide Voices thing, Eddie, what things are you looking for with the companies you're working with the kids you're working with? Like, what things are you looking forward to in the future?
Literally opportunities. I want them to be able to explore outside of the state of Connecticut, other opportunities within their interests. I want them to be able to be well equipped and skilled to advocate for themselves. It doesn't necessarily have to be on issues in their communities, but it could be advocating themselves for career opportunities. It could be advocating for themselves for different specific areas in their life that, they face challenges. So I really want them to go off and come back and be professionals to give back and provide that same cycle to the next generation. This is a very, very intense time that we're living in. It's either going to get worse or it's going to get better.
That's right.
You know, some say that, you know, people your age, people my age say that we may not see it. We might see it at the end, but definitely we know we want our kids and our kids' kids to see it. So at the end of the day, it's my job to break the generational curses as much as I can, if I'm only just saving that one life. As much as I can to make sure that they're well equipped and skilled. So for future, I want to see a big media production academy provided for inner city kids to be able to put more flavor in the industry. And I got that from Spike Lee. We need more flavor in the industry. And what I mean in the industry, not just film. Yes, Spike Lee does film, but in media and entertainment and so much different ways that it is publicized when in the technology realm or virtual platform. But we need more flavor. We need more people that look like us, males and females, to be in this industry and to really raise their voice and to really have a say and be leaders and understanding on and putting the right things up front.
Now, I know this is probably an unusual question, but for our listeners, our viewers, and our readers out there, can you give? I just want to show impact, right? Can you give us an example without, you don't even have to divulge a student's name, but what's an example of students that you've encountered in the program and where they started and how they were when they began, you know, working with you, to something great that they've accomplished in the world after working with you or during the time they were in the program with you? If you have like one of those stories, let us, you know, just give us an insight to how effective this type of involvement can actually be.
A student that was broken, shy, uncomfortable. They became comfortable over time, felt welcome, felt loved, felt cared about. Ended up finishing high school, graduated, college student, got accepted, highly recommended into so much different programs. Got to sit on leadership panels with other professionals and adults. So you'd be surprised, you see that one little person sitting in the corner so shy. Everybody else is getting up, presenting, and you know that one little person is so sat back and so uncomfortable to being that person that's speaking, presenting, getting invited to panels, full scholarship and to college. So it's like that transition, and I'm not trying to take all the credit for it, but the amazing team that I work with and other people that have played a role in her life, but just being a part of that is just amazing. And to really understand and allow them to tap into their greatness and tap into getting out of their comfort zone is what we need to see, because there's so much gifts in there.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
And I tell them all the time, every one of them have genius level. Every one of them have genius level talent. It's just their job to tap into it. If you don't tap into it, you will never see it.
Of course.
So that story is just like, wow. You know what I'm saying? And I've talked to that person about it recently, I think earlier this year, maybe a couple months ago. I'm just saying like, yo, you came a long way. And I remember when you was like this and like that. And it's just like when they see the progress, because sometimes you don't even see your own progress until you be like, you look back, you be like, oh shoot, I remember that. Dang, I was that type.
Yeah.
But it's just like, man, when it unfolds, just like, wow. So yeah.
Yeah. And again, the reason I even asked that question is because, you know, we reach, you know, a few people with our podcast. And again, even if you live in the community, I promise you, the effects of media on you can make you think that even if you live in a community, you're living in a community with a bunch of thugs or it literally is not like that. If it were like that, could you imagine? Now, yeah, there are cities with super trouble spots. Do not get me wrong. I'm not saying that doesn't exist. But in every single city, name one, most of the kids are just like you described. They have a vault that's locked because of how they grew up, or maybe some trauma, or maybe just fear of standing out and being ridiculed. Because, you know, it's a different type of ridicule sometimes when, you know, it's urban, because we come at it. You know, they come at you. So a lot of times you don't want to seem different. Like, you know, like the main goal is don't appear different. Don't bring attention to yourself because you don't want that smoke. Like, you don't want that. So when you and other people all around this country work with kids every day and encourage them to let their light shine, you know, that is literally what changes them. Like, it's just like, easy for them. Like, they're more inclined to do that, but they are encountering situations every day that's saying, nope, you better not turn on that light. You turn it on, you're going to get in trouble. You turn it on, somebody's going to hate. You turn it on, somebody's going to tell you can't do it. Don't turn it on. You don't want that pain. But when somebody like you say, you know what, it's okay to turn it on, but just be careful here and be careful where you shine your light. Just be careful, be mindful, but you still should definitely shine your light. And then they're like, okay, I get it. And then they do it. And it's like you said, they even have to remind themselves, like, I remember I couldn't even do that, because they forget, like, yo, I remember I didn't really speak well. I remember I was so quiet. So people that are doing the work that you're doing, that Lovejoy, who's another partner of ours, Calvin Lovejoy is another partner of ours in this initiative. The work that you and other people like you guys around the country are doing, it's making things better already. And so I got no doubt that the future is definitely going to be way brighter. These kids are going to be more unified. They're more unified now than we were when we were that young.
For real.
Like, they're more outspoken now and speaking up on issues, even if you say it starts on social media. Yeah, but you see, when that incident happened, how they took to the streets. It wasn't on social. It wasn't just no social media then. Like, these kids are really getting comfortable with being who they naturally were meant to be, and that's great. And it's only going to be more as we go. So I definitely want to thank you for coming on this episode of the podcast. I want you to let the audience know if they want to get in touch with you, if they want to find ways to help, ways to contribute, ways to volunteer. What's your website or email address where they can get in contact with you?
Yep. You can reach me at www.hartfordctc.org. You can check out our website there. hctcyouthleaders@gmail.com. And my social media at Raising Youth Voices, all social media and YouTube, Raising Youth Voices. Check us out there. Again, hartfordctc.org and hctcyouthleaders@gmail.com.
Hey, Eddie, thanks again for coming on this podcast.
Yes,
it's one of the most fun podcasts I
Appreciate
have.
you, bro.
And we look forward to rolling this out to the world, and we're definitely going to shine some light.
Man. Let's do it.
Yeah, we're going to kill. All right, guys, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Trade Secrets by Tripletote, and I'll be coming to you with another fabulous guest within a week. Have a good day.